Welcome to Success from Scratch, your place for innovation, creativity, and the blueprint of success from peak performers just like you. Welcome to Success from Scratch and my special guest today, Amber Harper from our San Antonio market. Amber, welcome.
Hello. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing really great, and I'm so glad that you're able to join us today.
Good. Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know the audience is really going to benefit from hearing your story, both from mental toughness and other areas. It's just so inspiring. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, I have always worked full-time, and I started off working for a real estate agent when I was 20 years old.
Wow, right when you were 20.
Yeah, I was 20 and I worked for a real estate agent, and he needed help with advertising and stuff like that. And so I did that. And then after I worked for him, he moved to Colorado. So I started working in apartment managing. And then I moved and became a designer for a home builder in Austin area. And so we picked everything from floor to carpet to exterior to roof color to everything. And so I did that. And then from that, it taught me a lot about flooring. So I went into flooring sales and then decided to do the real estate thing. And I feel like everything that I've sort of been in my career has led to me selling houses.
For sure. So working for a real estate agent, then going into the builder business really had to help you learn all about the building process and staging and selling. So it's a great skill set that many agents don't have.
Yeah. I really feel like, I've been led to do this as my ultimate career.
Yeah. So how did you move in then to real estate sales? How did you make that from all those series of assignments that led you? What made the jump into being a full-time professional realtor?
Well, yeah, it was a jump because there's a lot of upfront costs.
Right.
And at the time, we didn't have a lot of money, and so it was a big risk. But me working in corporate America and I was already working 100% commission in flooring sales, and I always felt like I was working so hard, but there was still a limit to what I could make in the business. I always felt like somebody always had their thumb on. My parents always owned a business. I always saw myself as owning my own business, and so I took 2 months to really think and pray about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to see it was a chance, and it was a leap because it was a lot of money, and I wasn't sure I would be successful. So.
Wow. So you weren't sure you'd be successful, but you took the leap anyway. Why is that?
I felt like I was working really hard, and I thought if I worked really hard, I could probably make it work, but I wasn't sure. The biggest thing that kept me from starting sooner than I did was I was afraid of failure.
Fear, which we know fear is just false evidence appearing real.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
You pushed back your fear. And what did you do in your first year?
Okay, my first year in real estate, I did a lot of rentals in the beginning, a lot of rentals, and any business that came my way, I would work it. And my philosophy my first year was, I'm going to come into the office and I'm going to work 8 to 5, and I'm going to learn my contracts, and I'm going to learn the area, and I'm going to research neighborhoods and research schools. And if I didn't have anything to do that day, I would just show up. And I always could find something in real estate new that I could learn, or a class I could take, or whatever it may be. So my first year, I said, I'm just going to show up.
So you just showed up and you learned, you became a hyper local expert.
Yes.
Treated it like a job. So you showed up 8 to 5, you worked, learned your marketplace, learned the product, learned the neighborhoods, all of that stuff. So that's amazing. And what did that lead to? What result did that generate for you in your first year?
My first year, my goal was to, I thought to myself, I mean, I didn't know, what's normal, but to me, I thought surely I could sell at least one house a month. And so my goal my first year was 12 sales, my first year.
And
And
how'd you do? Did you make that?
I did make that. I did. I
Wow.
just barely, I sold 12 houses and I made a decent income off of selling those 12 houses my first year. And, but just by showing up and
By
being,
showing up and now,
yeah.
Amber, you know what the National Association of Realtors average is, don't you?
No, I don't.
4.
Is it 4?
So you're already in your first year, you're already a rock star. So tell us then, how did you proceed out of the first year into the second year and beyond?
Okay, so the second year, really, it took off for me. I feel like people started to trust me
Right.
as a realtor. I feel like people are felt like I was in the business long enough to feel like, okay, we could probably use Amber for a realtor. So that first year, you're really building trust. You're
Mm-hmm.
getting it out there that you're an agent and that you're trustworthy and you're in it for the long haul. You're a full-time agent. And so I feel like that second year, people started to kind of trust me and realize, I do this full time, and my business did very well the second year. And the second and third year, I ended up flipping 3 houses, and so I started getting into the flipping houses business, which I really, really, really liked.
You became an investor. You became an investor yourself.
Yeah, and it went with my design stuff that I wanted to do. It was very rewarding.
Yeah. So you became an investor yourself, and by going through the process, you knew exactly what your customers were going through.
Yes, yes. And I went through all the roller coasters, the ups and the downs that all my buyers and sellers go through right now. And so it was always fresh on the mind. And right now I'm actually under contract with a house, and it is also a roller coaster.
Wow.
But just knowing that it's gonna be and being there for the long haul.
Well, I want to come back and talk about the roller coaster, but before we do that, you mentioned trust. And trust is such an important part of the transaction because we know people do business with someone they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Google even did some research that said trust is the #1 factor in selecting an agent. There's two books from great folks. One is Todd Duncan, my good friend Todd Duncan, who wrote High Trust Selling, and Stephen Covey, who wrote the book Speed of Trust, both of which I've written recently in our blog. So you might want to the audience may want to check that out. The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey and High Trust Selling by Todd Duncan. So Amber, you mentioned about the roller coaster. And this roller coaster that we all have. And I think I shared with you before the interview when we're talking about the roller coaster, one of my fondest memories, I still have it in my Bible. When I graduated from high school, my stepdad wrote me a note. You'd think it would have come from my mother, but it came from a man, and he wrote this very powerful note that still today I keep about how life is like a yo-yo. And he talked about how you're going to have ups and downs, and he went on about how he dealt with ups and downs, and some advice on how I should as I approached life beyond high school.
I love that.
Tell us about some of your highs and your lows and how you got through them.
Well, it's a roller coaster as an agent when you go through it with your buyers and sellers, when it's like, oh yay, oh no, oh yeah, it's all the time.
Right.
And it's that way in your business. And I think any business owner really, and any mom. I'm also a mom of 4 boys, and it is always, either great 1 second and a hot mess the next.
Wow.
Second.
So you have 4 boys.
I do.
So I have 3. So we have that in common. We both know the boy thing. I don't know the girl thing, but I know the boy thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm all about me some boys. But yeah, I mean, just knowing that it's gonna come back up.
Right.
So if you're having a low, it always comes back up. And like I told my seller last night, I said, it won't, everybody that sees your house likes your house. Your house is priced correctly, and it only takes 1 buyer. And so it's kind of that way when you're an agent. It only takes that 1 sale to get you back going again if you don't have anything under contract.
Well, I know as we were prepping for this interview, you shared a story with me that the audience just has to hear. And I think of mental toughness as an exercise. Mental toughness is something we all can build and build that muscle. And you shared with me a story about one day you're with your boys, you had this significant migraine, you couldn't work, but yet something came in. Tell us about that.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Let's just say I was having a really bad day. I couldn't work that day because my babies, my twin 3-year-olds they were sick, and so they had to stay home. So I had to stay home with them. I felt like my business was, I was trying to get it going, and you're always trying to get it going. You're always trying to keep it going. And it was a particular not good day. But it only takes just a second for things to turn around. And as I'm laying there on the twin bed, no makeup, my hair's not done, I'm in there with my boys, so they'll take a nap. And I got tagged on Facebook, and it was a $1 million buyer moving here into San Antonio, Texas for, within the next couple months. And that sale ended up closing this year.
Wow.
And so I was having a really rough patch, and all it takes is just that one sale to come through, and you just never know what's around the corner. So never give up.
Never give up. One of my fondest memories of my former business coach, who really taught me that mental toughness is staying in inspired action despite the circumstances happening around you. And you really demonstrated mental toughness that day, because as independent business women and men, we don't have the choice, quite frankly, in many cases, to, be anything other than working in inspired action despite what's going on around us. And so what a great story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
So, what else could you share with the audience about some of the things, whether it's a mental routine, a physical routine that you do each day that preps you for the day of the week, that helps you be successful each day and each week?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm always trying to do is connect with people. 85% of my business comes from people that I know, and people that know and love me and trust me. Like you said, it takes trust. I'm always putting it out there that I'm on Facebook, that I'm a realtor, I'm on Facebook, things like that. I never want to be that secret agent. That where one of my friends comes up and says, "Oh, I forgot you were a realtor." I never want that to happen ever. So I try to, have events or connect with people. I have coffee or lunch, just with people that I know, and, be interested in what they're doing, provide value, and also referral partners. People that I refer business to, they refer business back to me. And just having a handful of relationships like that can help keep you in a consistent business.
Yeah. So I heard not being a secret agent, but being a special agent. Right?
Yeah.
And you're obviously a special agent to so many that you serve. That's awesome. What else do you have a way that you prep for the day, a mental routine, a checklist, anything like that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, with real estate, you wear so many hats. There's so many hats you wear. You're putting somebody's dogs up one moment, and the next moment you're, going to a closing table, and the next moment you're going and making somebody's bed. I mean, I've done these things.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 5:30, before I go pick up my kids, I make a list of what has to happen the next day, and that keeps me on track. And I make a schedule for the next day. Because my schedule's always different, I can at least prepare a time block for the next day. I may not be able to know exactly what my week looks like, but I always plan the next day. That way I can say no, and I do time blocks. That way I'm not distracted every time the phone rings or every time I get an email.
I love it. So you're basically recapping for the day and then time blocking for the next day. Yeah. Awesome. Well, good. Well, this has been such a pleasure having you on the show today.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Any last words of wisdom for the audience before we wrap up?
Show up.
Show up.
Show up. That's what I do.
Dress up and show up.
Yeah. It may not be perfect, but you show up, something will happen.
So you're hitting a lot of the hot buttons we have on our blog over at jpar.net. JP just wrote one about showing up, suit up, show up.
Oh, good. Yes.
So the audience may want to check that blog out, 7S's on jpar.net. And
yes, I love the 7S's. I love that.
I just wrote one about the speed of trust, which we talked a lot about today. And of course, the two books we mentioned, The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey and from my good friend Todd Duncan, High Trust Selling. So you hit a lot of hot buttons that I know that are important for me as well.
Good. I'm so glad.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your success. Thanks for taking the time out to join us today. And we will see you soon on the next episode of Success from Scratch.